let's start. So it's been 2 weeks since the last class. Well, for you guys, not quite 2 weeks. For Alicia, 2 weeks since the last class. So I don't know if anybody was remembering the practice or, because we always start out saying, well, let's review the practice from last week. So the practice last week was taking a positive position whenever we feel like we feel the movement of our negative emotions come up. And the second piece of it was to promise yourself each day that you will not make discouraging pronouncements to yourself and others, and congratulate yourself on when you are successful. So whether or not it was in response to the homework, is this anything that we can relate to or want to share about? I know that I found myself making discouraging pronouncements to myself, nothing horrifically bad, but I had to catch myself and say, whoops, don't do that, and it worked. I just stopped doing it and went on. But sometimes it works that way. Sometimes it may not. Anybody else?
And then did you congratulate yourself?
I don't know. I don't remember if I congratulated. Well, probably it was a little bit of congratulation because I was happy again.
Yeah, I had to do a little bit more.
There's a number of the. Sorry, dude. Go ahead.
Go ahead. We both have.
Oops, you're muted.
What?
Okay, so anyway, yeah. I'll go ahead, Dan, and then you go.
Yeah.
So Linda, there's a lot of these add a person, add a girl, add a boy, whatever exercises in the Caring book. And if you actually do them consciously, which is kind of weird at first, but then say, hey, yeah, I did that. It really does build up a more positive view within yourself. And so those discouraging pronouncements or criticisms aren't quite so heavy. They gradually, you might still have them, but if you keep at it, and if you do it early in the day, and then you remind yourself, instead of saying, oh, don't do that, just say, oh, and kind of let it dissolve. And then go on, you will find that gradually it does lighten up. At least that's been my experience.
Yeah. Yeah, when you say in the beginning, what is it like when you first kind of congratulate yourself about something? Anybody?
It feels kind of funny.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I remember Alex in one class saying he wasn't used to talking to himself this way. It's too bad he's not here this evening. But yeah. So Dan, you were going to say something?
Yeah, it's kind of like talking to myself doesn't really work very well. So I really have to get to the bottom of where the conversation's coming from. In other words, where am I coming from when I do that? So it's more of a discovery type of a thing. I really have to find out something about myself that kind of contradicts the negative part. In other words, like if I think, well, I'm a very poor musician or something like that, I've got to actually look at it rather than tell myself I'm a good musician. I've got to get to the bottom of where that's coming from. So it's and it's more of an exploration into how I learned to actually judge things in general, you know. So it's a real discovery type of a thing. But I understand positive affirmations and things like that. But to me, they really have to be based in something. I mean, it's not enough just to make the noise, you know,
Yeah,
attaboy, you know, like you
yeah.
said.
But
Okay,
what about instead of replacing it with something positive, just stopping the negative?
yeah, that works. That's, well, yeah. First of all, that has to happen, I think, you know, for me. It's just to really connect with the negative. I mean, might sound kind of scary, but it is a little bit scary, but it's like really look at the negative. What is this? Where is this coming from? Who's saying this? Um, um, and then kind of go from there,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Yeah.
you know. So, and it's part of taking care of somebody. I think it's part of taking care of something. Sometimes you got to get your hands dirty, you know. So,
Yeah, you can't, it doesn't
no, well,
have,
sometimes, you know, in order to take care of somebody, you got to get your hands dirty. You know, I mean, in order to work with that ugly stuff, you got to kind of look at it and, you know, really connect with it, and
yeah,
and then and then deal with it. So
yeah.
that's kind of the way I work with it, anyway.
Okay. Yeah, so what's we're kind of going um, towards loosening up the negativity associated with some of these things and doing a little more exploration. So that's good, though. Thank you for sharing that. Alicia, do you have anything you want to add? Or?
I find that it's more of a stop rather than and allowing space rather than I mean, I definitely do congratulate myself when I have done something that is, you know, I feel good about. But when I'm feeling negative, I try to stop and just bring space
Uh-huh.
and see. I mean, because I'm not even sure that it is accurate, you know, or that there is a,
The negative comment that you've made?
yeah, that
Yeah,
there is
that's a good
anything,
point. Yeah.
anything real in it except for, you know, some kind of feeling.
Mhm.
So I think for me, it's more of a stop,
Just to stop
just
doing
to
it.
stop, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Okay.
breathe,
And
yeah,
breathe. Yeah, yeah. Don't keep going with it. Well,
yeah.
that's good. So we all had some
Some
Our
different
different
strategies, yeah.
ways to kind of work with this. So, so today we're going to go on to a different kind of exploration, and you know, the kind of first thing that comes up is to say that during the day, we might sometimes we say this negative thing about ourselves, or we just say something negative in general, not about ourselves, maybe, or we just have a feeling of being unhappy or angry or sad or whatever, and then we have a feeling of being happy or something. There's different things that happen during the day. Does that make sense to people? Does that work, kind of reflect your experience as well?
I did want to say one thing about this one exercise that we have where we're supposed to stand up and,
Yes, take the position.
well, I have now started wearing a brace that pulls my arm back,
Yeah,
my shoulders back. And otherwise I'm like this, I pull my shoulder back and immediately it's like things are positive. Just from this little brace that pulls my shoulders back.
isn't that interesting?
It's very interesting, yeah.
This constricts kind of the heart energy,
Yes,
I think,
yeah.
when we go like this.
Right.
There's some kind of protection there, and that's interesting. So
When I'm folding, I have to, otherwise I get pain in my legs, so I put this thing on and all of a sudden, it's.
But you wear it all the time?
I wear it, yeah, when I start folding.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I
I
have a
noticed
much
that I do
easier,
that too.
much
Yeah.
easier life with that on.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's it. So let's remember that one. Take a positive position.
Yeah.
So, so there's kind of you know, the what we're going to look at today is that, you know, something happens and we respond with a negative feeling or a positive feeling. And sometimes, especially if we don't have any training, and most of us in this room do, but people kind of sense like they don't have any control over it, just happens. Of course, that happened and then I got mad, or that happened and then I was insulted, or, you know, we don't seem to have like a lot of space, or really see the conditions that we don't see that this reaction that we have is actually the result of conditions. And the analogy that's used in the book, I guess, also in the materials, is that we're kind of, if we think of ourselves as sitting in a theater watching a play, what we're seeing is we see some actors on the stage, and we see the lights are shining on the actors and the set, and things are happening, and that's what we're looking at. And we're not aware that in the background all kinds of other things are happening that really are kind of, quote unquote, setting the stage for this action to happen on the stage. And so the analogy is, of course, that when our emotionality is happening, that what we're seeing is the actors on the stage, the light of our awareness, in a sense, that might not be the exact right word, but the light of our attention. Our attention is on the action and the actors, the emotion, and not on what happened to set the stage for this emotion to happen. And so that's kind of a little bit like what we're going to look at today.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about.
That was exactly what you're talking about? Oh, yeah, huh?
It's
You know,
reactivity though, right?
It's all the other stuff that contributes to it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, to
So-
that reaction that happens. Yeah.
Something positive, like, you know, say something positive about the whole situation, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And then maybe we just, that's what you're saying. So you're kind of looking at the other levels. So, well, so this will be a way to do that as today as well. So I'm on the second page of the materials if you wanted to follow along. We're going to start with one of our embodied, we're going to start with the body in effect, the senses and the energy centers in the body. Because these are the senses are the gate that the impressions come in, and the energy centers are active in the generation of our reactions or our thoughts. And in I think we probably all know this, but in Buddhism we have 6 senses instead of 5. So we have, anybody want to say what the senses are?
Taste,
Taste.
smell.
Mind,
What is it? She
Mind.
said mind.
mind,
Yeah, she knew the answer. Yeah, exactly. We include mind. Anybody say
seeing,
why we
well,
include mind? Why is it
and
not
then
the sun?
seeing, hearing, smelling. Huh?
Tasting,
What?
touching, yeah, and feeling.
Right,
So then,
tasting, touching.
what is it about mind that this is not necessarily the drive of this class, but what is it about mind that makes it a sense? That it's described as a sense
Because of thoughts.
Hmm?
Because of thoughts.
because of thoughts. Dan, Kay, you want to add to that?
Well,
Lisa says because of thoughts.
well, you can kind of like objectify it too. So kind of like, can kind of like be a thing, almost like a sense. This is like a sense.
The mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, and
Yeah,
if you look at the quote from the Caring book, which is the second paragraph, paragraph on page 2, they say, we include the mind. We can visualize each of the organs, ear, tongue, eye, nose, body, and mind, as gates that open outward to the world around us, as well as attuning within. So this mind, maybe they don't say brain as the physical organ, but maybe it's not, I don't know, but mind is the sense that is a sense in that it is it's open towards the outworld and attuning within. So it affects what is presented to our awareness in effect. And it goes on, all of our sensory properties, feelings, of all of our sensory properties, feelings may be our most important because our fundamental human expressions are closely related to the body and its sensory capacity for feeling. So it's that sensory capacity for feeling that we're going to be playing with today. Because it's in a way a good clue as to what's happening in mind or what's happening in our emotions is our sensory feelings. So let's we're going to start with the Kumeyaay practice. So what we want to do is stand up, and I'm going to have to read it because it's been a couple of days since I did it, but with your feet a comfortable distance.
You want me to give the directions, Linda? Linda?
No, well, we're going to be making motions, but not necessarily in the directions. So first of all, just
Okay.
stand.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we're going to, can you see me? Yeah. So we're going to stand, well, you can see me on the big picture, with our arms at a comfortable place in our sides, and just kind of, first of all, just get a sense of the body. Just the feelings, you don't have to have names for it, but the feelings within the body. And see if you can sense anything about your emotional state right now. Just in a feeling sense. It doesn't have to be I'm happy, I'm sad, but just what's there right now. And you can notice if your mind's filled with thoughts. Or are you feeling calm? Are you feeling restless or tired? Now, open your eyes if they were closed and begin to move spontaneously in any way that feels relaxing. And so first we start by making sure that we're going to be breathing through nose and mouth. And then just, in any way that kind of feels relaxing. Easing the muscles, easing tensions, whatever generates a sense of relaxation. You can rock or bend or sway. Just let relaxation guide your movements. And now, allow the relaxation that you can find spread throughout your whole body. So I'll just guide it starting with the jaw, the neck, the shoulders. Your arms and hands can be relaxed. Your chest, throat, chest, your hips and your belly, any tension in your joints. Dan, don't put any weight on your leg while you do this. Your legs.
Thanks.
I'm just sitting here saying stand up, and it's like, oh, don't stand up. Your feet. Just feel this relaxation in the body, all the way down to your toes. Every joint and muscle. Deeply relaxing as much as you can. We're going to do this for a few minutes. See if you can find something to relax that you didn't know was unrelaxed. Maybe you didn't know could be relaxed. Now we're going to shift a little bit to a different kind of movement where we're going to do short, light, quick movements. Nothing heavy like kicking or anything, but just start with maybe your hands and feet. Just do little quick movements that, oh, excuse me, I'm so relaxed, I'm yawning. The little quick movements that release tensions in a different way, but still letting the release of tension be your guide. So just kind of let this all kind of blend back into just a still standing or sitting. And we'll go back to our chairs. And just sit in the 7 gestures for a few minutes. Just noticing the sensations and feelings that have been stimulated by our movement here. Now still staying relaxed in the 7 gestures posture, breathing through nose and mouth. Sense any remaining areas of tension that you may have and relax them with the breath. You can breathe into that tense spot and let it relax as you exhale. As if you could breathe air right into the muscle or the tense place. Let the relaxation just deepen a bit. So we can be aware of our body in a soft way. And as you relax, bring to mind a positive event that happened recently. Bring it fully to mind. And as you remember this event, see if you can contact the feelings in your body right now, the subtle feelings in the body. Feelings, just noticing, are they pleasant or unpleasant? The feelings that you notice while you're remembering this positive event. There's no need for any explanation or description, it's just feeling, just noticing the feeling in your body as you relax and remember this pleasant event. And now, start to shift so that you remember a negative event that happened recently. And as you start to see that event in the mind, feel what the feelings are like in the body. Are they pleasant or are they unpleasant? A negative event that happened recently. Are the feelings in the body pleasant or unpleasant? Just notice. go of that negative event, staying with your eyes closed and your attention in the body. And we'll just sit for a few minutes and notice if when a thought arises, there's some kind of feeling in the body. And when you notice the feeling in the body, no need to define it or to stop it or make it longer. It's just letting it arise with your noticing. Just let whatever it is arises without suppressing it, without encouraging it. It's just noticing what arises, especially if it's connection with the thought. So when you feel a feeling, just allow the sensations to be whatever they are. If you find tension building up, just use the breath to relax it and go back to noticing the feelings. Just staying with them however they arise. attention. Now just bring your awareness back to the room. Open your eyes. So what was that like? Anything anybody would like to share?
It was like sleep.
Like to sleep?
Yeah.
Was there any
Really-
difference in,
Really spacey. I don't know, just really spacey.
yeah?
Yeah.
Huh, that's interesting. Chasing. Alicia, anything that you lost Kay maybe?
I had sort of visuals that were, kind of nutty and
Really?
yeah, like cartoons and then I started thinking about what I was gonna make for Carmen's wedding thing,
Oh.
and then it started getting very, tense
Oh.
or expand. I don't know. It was more of a. It was getting very full.
Oh, like the feelings were full?
Yeah, right into my chest. It was getting.
Oh.
And, yeah.
Did you find a difference, either one of you, or I don't know, Kay, if you're still here, but when you had the pleasant, if you go back in the earlier one, I guess, but, or even in the noticing, just plain noticing, was there a difference with the mind wandering or the relaxation between whether you were on a positive event or a negative event? In the visualization that we were doing?
Yes.
What did you notice?
When it was a negative event, there was a lot of, it was, breathing was a little bit more shorter, more, and there was a lot more constriction. And when it was a positive event, it was more space. I don't know if I would say, yeah, it was more space and actually more undefined.
With the positive, yeah. That would be more relaxation, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, interesting. Dan, difference between whether it's in the remembering the events or just in the feelings, when we were just doing the feelings? Was there any difference in the quality of, I don't want to put ideas out there to override experience, but what I'm kind of getting at also is like with the movement of mind, when the negative feeling was there, was it different than when the positive feeling was there?
Sometimes it's the feeling that creates the thought.
Yeah.
That's what I was watching also. It was the feeling created the thought.
That's an important insight, actually.
Yeah.
Did you see that, Dan, at all? Or?
I found that too. And so,
Yeah.
I'm having kind of a hard time getting a negative feeling. You know, I don't know.
He's in bliss in there.
I mean, think of all this,
In his hut.
I think of all these bad things, and they just don't they just don't hook me the way they used to.
Oh, that's
They
good.
do, you know, I mean, I can't try to come up with something. It's really hard, you know. And plus, I feel pretty good. I actually, as banged up as I have been, I mean, I really actually, when we did that Kumye exercise, I just noticed that my body's much more flexible than it was when I was out, you know, hauling wood and doing all that stuff. My body's is very flexible.
Oh, that's nice.
So, yeah, so, um, yeah, I think, you know, mind is a trickster, you know, and so you really can't trick, you know, you really can't pull the wool over its eyes too much, you know.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to feel negative, you know, that's what it does for me. If I want to feel negative, if I want to feel a negative feeling, it kind of gets in the way and says, yeah, come on, you really don't want to do that.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah, it's really almost like I have to be surprised. If I'm surprised, then I can get it.
Oh,
You know, it's like something really happens. I mean, you know, a deer runs through my window or something.
Hmm.
You know, something really just really shocking that would put me into that space where I'm not where I'm not really in control. Where I'm, yeah. So, you know, and sitting, you know, you're totally in. When I sit, I'm totally in control. You know, I've got my posture the way I want it to be. I've got my breathing the way I want it to be. I've got my mind the way I want it to be. It's just pretty much, that's why it seems kind of sleepy, you know? So, but it's what it is. That's an interesting feeling. I think for caring, it's really important to be in that place where it's kind of like on the edge, when you're on the edge, and then care, you know, and not so much safe. I mean, like I really feel safe now, you know. So, but it's good to contact that feeling. But I think it's, you know, as much as I contact it now, sitting comfortably in my chair, the bottom line is how am I when I'm confronted with something that is difficult, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say negative, but I'm just going to say difficult.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't necessarily, it's not, when it first comes, it's neither positive or negative. It's something that I actually label it later on, you know. So
Yeah.
that's my experience anyhow. You know, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and we do. I think where we go with this class is that we see that something happens and it isn't necessarily positive or negative in itself. I mean, something frightening, like if a deer really did jump through your window, that's, you know, something. It's not something you're creating in effect, but what I found in this exercise was that when I would be with the negative, you know, the negative event, I'm kind of like you. I haven't had that many hugely negative events recently, but when I was with this negative event, I found myself going, isn't it time to stop this? I'm the timekeeper, right? Hasn't it been, it's not even a minute yet, you know? It's like, I just kept thinking.
No, we really know how to deal with this. You know?
And then I would notice, I was asking about mine because what I was noticing is that when a feeling would, like a tense feeling that could be related to something negative, I found my mind wanting to turn away. You know, it was like, it's sometimes pretty hard to stay with those tensions that represent something negative, like probably something stored from the past or something that's like, you know, some tension in my stomach or my throat or something. Is like, I would start to feel it and my mind would want to start thinking about something else, you know, and I have to bring it back. But mostly I was like, it's only 6:01, you know.
You know, maybe that's your mind like taking care of you, you know. That's kind of like it's taking care, you know, like there's really nothing untoward happening, and then, you know, why dwell on something that's not really happening?
Yeah, and it says, let's not go there. Yeah, it's tricky. Because
Yeah, it is tricky.
if we can stay with these difficult feelings, sometimes they just dissolve and they don't come back again, you know? So it's a little, that's not the topic of this class, but just in my own experience is that we can, sometimes if we just keep turning away from something, it just keeps coming up later. But if we can penetrate it and let it come into our awareness, then sometimes it just kind of eases, you know? But this exercise is really, I'm getting way kind of far afield here, but this exercise is about just noticing the negative and the positive sensation in the body, and the connection to thought is really a good one that you guys both observed. So now we're going to do another, little exploration with pleasant and unpleasant feelings, as if we didn't have enough. The first thing we're going to do is, so I don't know, Kay, are you here? What happened to Kay? What we're going to do is,
Yes,
oh, you're here, good, okay. Do you have your bobby pins and paper clips?
I have my colored pills,
Oh, okay.
supplements,
It's like-
vitamins.
I sent out instructions that said,
They're
and then
kind of the same
have,
shape as,
I said you should have some white beans and colored beans, and she's like, well, what if I don't have any white beans or something? Or beans, and I said, well, how about bobby pins and paper clips? As long as they're different, right?
right.
So Dan, do you have something?
And then I've got some vitamins and stuff that are kind of like beans, you know.
Yeah, I'm using pennies and dimes.
Okay, pennies and dimes. That's great. So we have garbanzo beans and red beans here. So we each have bowls or piles of two very different objects. What we're going to be doing is, again, going back and noticing our feelings. And we're going to be taking, you can decide which one you want to associate. One's going to be associated with a pleasant feeling, and one's going to be associated with an unpleasant feeling. And so you can use, whichever color or whichever item you'd like. But so what you'll be doing is taking them out of the pile that you have, and then just putting them in front of you in a pile. And I'll lead you through it. But that's kind of the setup. So if we've got our various objects, okay. So we're gonna just sit again for 5 minutes, noticing our feelings and thoughts. And what we'll do is we're going to review events from recent events, kind of like we did before. They could be the same ones or different ones. And then as we're just sitting and doing this kind of a meditation or visualization, when we have a positive feeling or a pleasant feeling, you take the bean out of one bowl. When you have an unpleasant feeling, you're going to take the bean out of the other bowl. And it's just very light. It's just, just kind of noticing and moving the object, vitamins, whatever, pennies and dimes, beans. So let's just rest for a second again. And close your eyes at first. And breathe evenly through nose and mouth, relaxing as before. And as we sit, we know thoughts are going to come up, feelings will come up, and we're just going to, like I said, we're going to just be reviewing events, say today or yesterday. And when a pleasant feeling comes up, you take one, unpleasant the other. So to do this, you may want to open your eyes a little bit gently. But even with your eyes open, try to keep your awareness within. And if you can do your objects and your review with your eyes closed, that's okay too. So we're just going to go back to our kind of relaxed state. Take a deep breath, or your shoulders a little if the discussion's, kind of unrelaxed, anything. And then just start reviewing the events of today, yesterday, whatever comes to mind. Just kind of running through them, noticing. When you have a positive feeling, take the positive symbolic object and put it in front of you. Or if you have an unpleasant feeling, then you take the other one and put it in front of you. We'll just do this for a few minutes. You could just let memories of the events arise as they choose to come. Noticing the feelings, pleasant or unpleasant, that accompany them. Now just, if your eyes are open, slowly close them. If they're closed, in any event, just bring your hands to your knees, your mouth. And just contact the feelings in the body. In a couple minutes, I'll ask you to open your eyes and look at the little pile of objects that you have in front of you. Take a look and we'll count which ones were, how many of one and how many of the other. Not with the view that there should be a certain result, but just with the view of noticing.
Sorry, Linda, I'm not hearing you. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, thank you, Dan, for telling me. So in a few minutes, I'll ask you to open your eyes and count the different colors or shapes of objects in the pile in front of you. Not with any judgment about what should be there, but just lightly, again, noticing, what's there. So why don't we go ahead and do that? Open your eyes and look at your little piles and just count, just out of curiosity, like how many of each do you see? So now take the positive event objects, just hold them in your hands and just realize these represent the positive states from the last couple of days or whatever your time period was today, a couple of days. These just represent the positive feelings that you had. See if you can contact again some of these positive feelings as you look at these objects. And then you can put them back in their original piles or bowls and take the other objects in your hand. These represent the negative or unpleasant, maybe we say unpleasant feelings and events that happened over the past day or so. See if you can contact some of those negative feelings. Then you can put those back in their respective original piles or bowls. And if you wanted to, you could make some notes of something that you might want to remember from the exercises that we just did. A collection of feelings and thoughts is what we call it. We call this exercise. Okay, does anybody want to share anything about that? Did you have any negative beans, Dan?
Yeah, it was about 2 negatives to 3 positives.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I got six pennies and 9 of the others.
Yeah.
But it was as I was scanning, I was running out of things. I didn't have that. I don't know if my memory is just kind of like fogged or what, but I wasn't coming up with a lot of. The positive ones were really, really nice, and
Yeah.
most of those had to do with people. You know, people showed up today, and that's really pleasant. And then I had a Zoom with my daughter yesterday. That was really pleasant. And the other ones just have to do with kind of frustration with some of the things I'm trying to accomplish. You know, it's not really negative, but it's frustration. It's kind of an unpleasant feeling, you know. But, yeah, it's interesting.
I was a little bit teasing you because earlier you were saying, I don't have that much negative. I thought, I wonder if he's going to have any of those things. They come. I think that's inevitable at some level.
Yeah,
Be sure, Kay?
that's good.
Unmute.
Kay?
It was good to see that it was more than twice the positives than the negatives.
Oh,
The negatives, when they came along, you know, I remembered them, and I remember them clearly. And so they lasted a little bit longer than the positive ones, because the positive ones occurred throughout the day. It was a very light, appreciative day, you know, beautiful day, looked out, saw the natural beauty,
oh, nice.
and I got things accomplished, didn't worry about it, happened quickly. So there was a lot of, you know, yeah, good things.
Good.
But then the negative things, you know, eeks. But then I opened up, and the negative feelings kind of opened up, and I could see, oh, actually I can do this. It's not so bad.
Oh, that's nice. Alicia?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It looked like I had a good day.
Yeah, looks like
It was a nice day.
an objective measure, huh?
Yeah. And yeah, there were a lot of fun events, so it was a fun day. And the negative ones actually had more to do with worry than, you know,
Uh-huh.
yeah, than actual events.
But that's unpleasant.
Was.
Yeah.
That's where my little red ones came in. But it looks like it was a good day.
Good. I like that. That's good.
I didn't have it, but it was a good day. Yeah.
The thing that happened with me that reminded me a little bit of something Dan said earlier, I think, is that, well, in the very beginning, I was like, I found myself intentionally alternating. Oh, here's a bad one. Let me find a good one. Now let me, you know, it was like that. Then I kind of let go of that. but then we were holding him in our hand, you know, and then saying, oh, this represents the pleasant. It's like, and then see if you can contact those feelings again. I noticed when the unpleasant ones, when I had those in my hand, I couldn't contact the feelings unless I started naming them. Like, oh, that was when I felt uncomfortable about this, that. Like, I couldn't just contact these kind of negative feelings in the same way that I could with the positive ones. You know, just without a definition or an event to associate with it. I don't know what that's about, but that was mine. Okay, so we have a couple of quotes in our handout that I haven't memorized, so we'll read. One is from Joy of Being, and one is from Caring. And we'll just read them together. I'll read them, but we'll read them together. Some feelings, oh, and did anybody find neutral feelings as they were reviewing events? I did too. Kay and Dan, did you find neutral?
Mhm.
Yeah. Was something
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So some feelings are neutral.
It's okay. You know, it's nothing.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. Some feelings are neutral or so gentle that we do not notice them. Others, as when we feel good or bad, affect our thoughts, attitudes, and actions more strongly. So this is the point that it affects our thoughts. That's where the thoughts kind of get generated from. And then from caring, suffering and ignorance are no theory, they are real. For that reason, when it comes to caring, we need to remember the practical side as much as possible. We need to practice daily how to take care of our thoughts, emotions, and problems. And then on the 4th page, we could commit ourselves to having no more suffering ourselves. We could commit ourselves to having no more suffering ourselves. True caring requires inner cooperation, a coalition of thoughts, feelings, and sensing. Nothing stops us from experiencing and expressing that kind of care. Wherever we are, whatever we are doing, we can connect mindfully with the feelings that are resonating in the body at that moment, from joy of being. And from caring, taking care starts with our own mind and feelings, our closest friends and companions. So that last statement, taking care starts with our own mind and feelings, our closest friends and companions. To me, that kind of is pointing to how close our feelings and our thoughts are to whatever we might consider as us, which is, of course, another question. But if we don't start with that, then where are we? Because that tells us kind of where we are, how we're responding. It's our, I don't know if this is technically accurate, but to me it feels like kind of an advanced warning system. You start to feel some kind of discomfort come, and you kind of, you know that something's there, you know.
It's kind of interesting.
That's our friend.
It's kind of interesting. That's the way Rinpoche has been writing lately, you know, in the last few years. When you read that, there's 2 ways to read that. And that's actually your friends and companions, you know, the real people as well.
Oh,
You know, taking care starts with our own friends and companions.
huh. I hadn't thought about it that way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, taking care starts with our own closest friends and companions.
But I always thought that he's talking about your own mind and your own feelings to make them.
Yeah, you can put them both together. It works both ways. You know, taking care starts with our own mind and feelings, and then also our closest friends and companions.
And
He's always said, though, that our mind is our best friend. We should make we should make friends with our mind, because that's always with us
yes,
as long as we're alive.
as long as
Our other closest friends, we should, of course, be loyal to them and take care of them. But, you know, in the end, that's all we've got is our mind.
But
Our
it's not the
being.
end yet. It's not the end.
No, but throughout forever. Who knows when the end comes?
Well, you know, I mean, yeah, both, you know, one hand washes the other. It's like you do it both ways, you know, because your friends and companions are part of your mind, you know. So
that's true too. Say, Kay, what did you say last week? You said something nice about taking care of mind. Do you remember?
I didn't attend a class last week.
Well, we didn't have it, but the week before.
Oh, the last class.
Sorry, the last
Oh,
class.
golly. I'm trying to remember what I said.
You said something very nice about taking care of our minds, like it's our friend that we're taking care of. I can't remember. You put it nicely, but that's okay. It was nice. It was like,
Oh,
that.
Oh, I remember. Maybe I said that, you know, our minds are a little bit shy, so we should be gentle with them.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes,
You know, it's like doing any kind of like Kumye or even any meditation practice or whatever. Our minds can, you know, we can get distracted. But instead of just roughly bringing our attention back to what we're doing, we should be kind with our minds.
Mhm.
yes. I love that.
Yeah, Shanti Davis says the same thing. You know,
Kind of embrace them a little
your
bit.
mind is like an open wound.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you take care of it, or you take care of it like you take care of your eyes.
Oh,
You know, you just it's really it's very special. And one of the negative things that I found, you know, like surfing the web, you know, there are things that I'm curious about, but I know, you know, when I do that, I expose my mind to things that could harm it. You know, so pretty much aware of that. It's almost like when somebody pinches and the pinch gets pincher, it gets tighter and tighter, and you want it to stop. That's when it's time to turn it off. You know,
yeah.
so yeah.
Hopefully before.
Well, before it really gets painful.
But I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there that's just, you
Do
know.
you guys realize, I mean, I'm just sitting here listening to us in this conversation, which I'm totally on board with, and thinking how foreign what we're saying would seem to a lot of people. Be kind to your mind, you know, take care of your mind. I don't know. I mean, well, the only reason I'm saying that is because it's very precious. This is so precious, and yet it would seem foreign to people. Would have seemed foreign to me some number of years ago. I don't know when, but it's very precious what we're saying right here. I just want to call that out.
Mhm.
So anyway, practices this coming week. This sensing body energy that we just did once in the morning.
Yay!
Yeah, I know, it's a good one, huh? If anybody, I
It's
have
an easy one.
Does everybody have a Kumne, access to a Kumne book? Okay. And then during the day, notice if you stay grounded in the body by connecting with, one would be the input of your eyes, tongue, wait a second, your eyes, ears, tongue, nose.
There's
I think maybe we mean all of them, touch, etc. Or, and it said and, but I crossed this out of my notes, but and with the feelings that arise in your body, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. The handout I think says whatever you are. You could read it that way if you'd like. I think it was a typo and should say wherever you are. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing. You connect mindfully with the feelings that are resonating in the body at that moment. So sometimes people suggest like setting a little timer, or when something happens, you just kind of stop and notice, you know, what are the feelings? What is the input through the senses? Can you stay grounded through those things? And then instead of having additional reading, it's exploring the quotes that were in this class, that we looked at in this class. And maybe we'll talk next time about what was the most pleasant during the exploration of the quotes. So, good, everybody?
Yeah, which quotes are you talking about there? In the real book? Pages?
No, sorry, they're on.
any of them.
They're in the handout themselves.
Oh, okay, good. Okay.
So the ones, I think they mostly start on, there's some earlier. Yeah, they're on several pages, actually.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
It was a nice class.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Actually got my other class.
Oh, okay.
In 5 minutes.
Uh-oh. Bye, Alicia. Oh, what am I doing? I'm doing the wrong thing here. Okay.